The Duggar family is suddenly back in the spotlight, and this time, fans are deeply worried about Jill Duggar. After years of public family tension, emotional struggles, and major life changes, Jill has now shared a deeply personal update while asking supporters for prayers, and the emotional response online has been overwhelming. Many viewers immediately began asking, what exactly is happening inside Jill's family right now? Why does this message feel so serious? And could this be connected to the complicated history that has followed the Duggars for years? Social media quickly exploded with reactions, concern, and speculation as supporters tried to piece together the meaning behind Jill's emotional words. Some believe she may be facing one of the most difficult seasons of her life so far. Others think this could signal another major shift within the already fractured Duggar family dynamic. And because Jill has become one of the most closely watched members of the family in recent years, even a short emotional message was enough to spark massive online discussion. Tonight, we're breaking down Jill Duggar's prayer request, the family update behind the concern, the internet reaction unfolding right now, and why so many people believe this moment could be far bigger than it first appeared. For public figures who grew up in the spotlight, even a short emotional message can trigger massive online attention within minutes. That's especially true for Jill Duggar, whose life has remained closely followed by longtime fans ever since the early days of the Duggar family's reality television fame. Recently, concern began spreading online after Jill shared a heartfelt request asking supporters for prayers during what appeared to be a deeply emotional season for her family. While the message itself did not fully explain the situation, the tone immediately caught people's attention. Many followers noticed that the wording felt unusually serious, emotional, and personal. Because Jill has often been selective about what she chooses to share publicly, supporters quickly began wondering whether something significant might be happening behind the scenes. When public personalities ask for prayers without immediately offering details, audiences naturally begin searching for answers. In today's social media environment, even a brief message can spark thousands of reactions, theories, and emotional discussions within hours. That's exactly what happened after Jill's post appeared online. Some fans feared the message could involve a medical issue, family emergency, or another serious personal challenge. Others believed the request may have reflected emotional exhaustion, stress, or private family matters that Jill simply was not ready to discuss publicly. And because the Duggar family has spent years living under intense public scrutiny, many viewers immediately connected the message to the family's long history of public controversies, strained relationships, and personal transitions. For years, audiences watched the Duggars present an image of unity and structure through reality television. But as time passed, several family members, including Jill, began opening up about the emotional difficulties that can come from growing up in such a highly visible environment. That history is part of why even small updates from Jill often generate major public reactions. Supporters have watched her navigate marriage, motherhood, distance from certain family dynamics, and the challenge of redefining her own identity outside the expectations many people once associated with the Duggar name. As a result, fans now tend to read very carefully into her public statements, especially emotional ones. Some internet users analyzed the exact wording of her prayer request, searching for hidden meanings or clues about what may have prompted the message. Others focused on the timing, wondering whether recent family events or ongoing tensions could have played a role. In many ways, the situation highlights the complicated relationship between public figures and personal privacy. On one hand, audiences feel emotionally invested because they have followed these personalities for years. On the other hand, individuals like Jill may simply want support without feeling pressured to immediately explain every private detail of their lives. That balance can become incredibly difficult to maintain. Reality television families often experience a unique kind of public attention where followers feel personally connected to people they have never actually met. Because viewers watched Jill grow up on television, many supporters now react to her emotional updates almost like they would to news from a distant relative or longtime friend. And when concern begins spreading online, speculation often follows quickly behind it. Within hours of the prayer request appearing, social media discussions expanded across comment sections, fan pages, reaction channels, and online forums. Some people expressed genuine concern and sympathy, while others began creating theories about what might be happening privately. But despite all the speculation, very little confirmed information was actually available. That uncertainty only fueled even more discussion. And while many supporters simply wanted to offer encouragement, the situation once again demonstrated how difficult it can be for public figures to ask for emotional support while still protecting their personal boundaries. At the center of it all was one simple reality. Jill's emotional message clearly resonated with people. Whether followers were longtime supporters of the Duggar family or casual observers who occasionally see headlines online, many recognized that the request appeared sincere, vulnerable, and deeply personal. And for now, that emotional uncertainty continues to keep audiences watching closely for any future updates. For longtime followers of the Duggar family, Jill Duggar's recent request for prayers did not happen in a vacuum. The emotional reaction online was shaped by years of public tension, personal growth, and increasingly visible distance between Jill and parts of her family. In the early years of the family's television fame, Jill was often viewed as one of the most loyal and enthusiastic members of the household. Viewers watched her embrace the family's values, participate heavily in family activities, and become one of the central faces of the Duggar brand during the height of their reality television success. But over time, fans began noticing subtle changes. As Jill entered adulthood, got married, and started building a life outside the structure viewers had long associated with the family, her public image slowly evolved. Small decisions that might seem ordinary in many families suddenly became major talking points online simply because of the Duggar family's highly public reputation. Whether it involved lifestyle choices, parenting decisions, clothing changes, or social media posts, audiences began interpreting every update as a possible sign of growing independence. And as speculation increased, Jill herself eventually became more willing to address difficult topics publicly. She and her husband began speaking more openly about emotional struggles connected to growing up in such an intensely visible environment. They discussed pressure, boundaries, disagreements, and the challenges that can emerge when personal identity collides with family expectations and public attention. For many viewers, this openness marked a dramatic turning point. Until then, the Duggar family had largely maintained a carefully controlled public image for years. Personal disagreements were rarely discussed openly, and difficult conversations often remained behind closed doors. But Jill's willingness to acknowledge emotional strain gave audiences a glimpse into a side of the family dynamic that many people felt had previously remained hidden. Some supporters praised her honesty. They viewed Jill as someone attempting to establish healthier boundaries while learning how to navigate adulthood on her own terms. To these fans, her evolution represented personal growth, emotional maturity, and independence after years spent in an unusually strict and public environment. Others, however, viewed the situation very differently. Critics argued that family disagreements should remain private and believed public discussions about internal conflict only intensified media scrutiny surrounding the Duggar name. Some longtime supporters of the family felt uncomfortable watching deeply personal matters become part of public conversation. That divide in public opinion only increased attention surrounding Jill's story. Every interview, podcast appearance, social media post, or emotional update quickly became headline material online. Even relatively small comments were analyzed by viewers searching for clues about where relationships within the family stood at any given moment. In many ways, Jill gradually became one of the most closely watched members of the Duggar children, precisely because her journey appeared so different from what audiences had originally expected. While some siblings continued maintaining relatively private public images, Jill's path increasingly centered around transparency, self-reflection, and discussing experiences that many reality television families rarely address openly. And that shift fundamentally changed how audiences perceived her. To some viewers, Jill became a symbol of someone trying to redefine her identity outside of a powerful family structure. To others, she became part of an ongoing controversy surrounding privacy, loyalty, and the long-term impact of growing up on television. Either way, public fascination surrounding her life only continued growing. That is why even a short message asking for prayers immediately sparked intense conversation online. Supporters already understood that Jill's relationship with her family has been viewed as emotionally complicated for years, which caused many people to wonder whether the request was connected to deeper personal struggles or major family developments happening behind the scenes. At the same time, others urged caution against jumping to conclusions. Many fans pointed out that public figures, especially those with large followings, often receive overwhelming speculation whenever they share emotional updates online. A simple request for support can quickly turn into widespread theories, assumptions, and rumors that may not reflect reality at all. Still, because Jill's personal journey has remained so publicly discussed over the years, even small updates now carry enormous emotional weight among followers who feel invested in her story. And in the world of reality television fame, that kind of attention rarely fades quietly. One of the biggest reasons this story has attracted so much attention is because audiences have followed Jill Duggar's life for such a long time. For many viewers, this is not simply a celebrity update appearing out of nowhere. People feel like they grew up alongside her through years of reality television, interviews, social media posts, and public family milestones. For more than a decade, audiences watched the Duggar family present nearly every part of their lives publicly. Weddings, birthdays, pregnancies, family traditions, emotional moments, and personal struggles were all shared with millions of viewers. Because of that constant visibility, many longtime followers formed a strong emotional attachment to certain family members, especially Jill. Reality television often creates what experts describe as parasocial relationships, where audiences feel personally connected to people they have never actually met. Viewers begin to feel emotionally invested in someone's happiness, struggles, relationships, and personal growth. In Jill's case, many supporters believe they have witnessed major changes in her life over the years, which makes updates like this feel especially personal to them. For longtime fans, Jill's story also stands out because her public image has changed so dramatically over time. Earlier appearances often showed her in a much more structured family environment, closely tied to the expectations surrounding the Duggar household. But in recent years, audiences have seen her gradually become more independent, more outspoken, and more willing to discuss difficult experiences publicly. That transformation has created a different type of connection with viewers. Some people now view Jill not simply as a former reality television personality, but as someone navigating complicated family relationships under intense public pressure. Her openness about boundaries, emotional growth, and major life changes has led many supporters to sympathize with her situation on a deeper level. For some viewers, Jill's experiences reflect broader conversations happening in many families. Pressure from relatives, changing personal beliefs, learning independence, setting boundaries, and trying to protect personal peace while remaining in the public eye. Because those themes feel relatable to many people, even small updates from Jill can trigger emotional reactions online. Supporters often project their own family experiences and personal struggles onto the situation, which can intensify public interest very quickly. At the same time, the internet has completely changed how celebrity discussions unfold. The moment a public figure posts an emotional message, online communities immediately begin analyzing every word, tone, and detail. In Jill's case, that process happens even faster because Duggar-related discussions already have large and highly active online audiences. Across YouTube comment sections, Reddit discussions, TikTok videos, fan pages, and entertainment forums, people rapidly share theories, reactions, and speculation whenever new Duggar news appears. Some viewers genuinely express concern and support, while others attempt to interpret hidden meanings behind short statements or vague social media captions. That environment can quickly turn even a simple prayer request into a major online conversation. A brief emotional update may lead to thousands of comments, reaction videos, headlines, and debates within hours. As more creators discuss the situation, speculation spreads further, sometimes far beyond the actual confirmed information available publicly. Another factor driving emotional investment is the history of controversy surrounding the Duggar family overall. Because audiences already associate the family with years of public scrutiny, legal headlines, internal tensions, and changing family dynamics, viewers tend to assume there may be deeper meaning behind emotional updates. That does not necessarily mean every vague message signals a crisis, but the family's public history has created an atmosphere where fans closely examine almost everything shared online. Even ordinary updates can become magnified because audiences expect hidden tension or emotional significance beneath the surface. Some supporters also feel protective of Jill, specifically because they believe she has faced unique pressure over the years. Her decisions to create more distance, establish boundaries, and speak more openly about personal struggles have caused many viewers to rally around her emotionally. In online spaces, people frequently describe her as someone trying to rebuild her life while balancing family relationships, marriage, motherhood, and public attention all at once. But alongside genuine support, there is also an important conversation about privacy. Public figures often face enormous pressure whenever they share emotional moments online. While audiences may feel connected to Jill's story, there is still a limit to what outsiders truly know about her personal life behind the scenes. That tension between public curiosity and personal privacy is part of what makes these situations so complicated. Fans want updates because they care emotionally, yet speculation can sometimes grow far beyond the facts actually available. And in the age of social media, once theories begin spreading, it becomes very difficult to slow them down. Ultimately, the strong reaction surrounding Jill Duggar's update says a lot about the power of reality television and long-term public exposure. After years of watching her life unfold on screen, many viewers feel deeply emotionally connected to her journey. Whether people support her, criticize her, or simply remain curious, one thing is clear: audiences remain highly invested in what happens next for Jill and the Duggar family. Moments like this also highlight the difficult balance between public visibility and private pain. For someone like Jill Duggar, even deeply personal moments can instantly become headline news. Over the years, the Duggar family built a massive audience through reality television, social media, interviews, and public appearances. That level of visibility creates a unique kind of pressure, especially during emotional or uncertain situations. What many families experience privately often becomes public discussion almost immediately when it involves someone audiences have followed for years. And that attention can create enormous emotional strain. Every post becomes analyzed, every statement gets interpreted, and every silence often creates even more speculation. Supporters begin searching for clues in wording, facial expressions, timing, or even what isn't being said at all. For public figures connected to reality television, privacy can become incredibly difficult to maintain. Even when someone tries to set boundaries, online discussion rarely slows down completely. In Jill's case, many viewers feel emotionally invested because they watched key moments of her life unfold publicly, from childhood to marriage, motherhood, and major family changes. That emotional connection explains why her recent request for prayers immediately sparked such strong reactions online. Some fans expressed concern. Others began speculating about possible family developments, and many simply hoped she and her family were doing okay behind the scenes. Another layer to this situation involves the challenge of protecting children and family life while living in the public eye. Public attention doesn't just affect the individual at the center of the story. It can also affect spouses, relatives, and children who never chose that level of scrutiny themselves. For reality television families especially, deciding how much to share publicly can become emotionally complicated. On one hand, openness helps audiences feel connected. On the other hand, sharing too much during difficult moments can create lasting pressure and endless online commentary. Some fans believe Jill may eventually explain more about the situation through interviews, podcasts, or social media updates. Others think she may choose to keep certain details private to protect her family during an emotional time. And honestly, that tension between openness and privacy has followed the Duggar family for years. Public curiosity has remained intense even as several family members have stepped away from television and become more selective about what they share online. At the same time, this situation also reflects a broader reality about internet culture today. Audiences often expect immediate answers whenever a public figure posts something emotional or concerning. But real life rarely works that way. Families sometimes need time to process difficult experiences privately before speaking publicly, if they choose to speak at all. For now, much of the public conversation remains based on interpretation rather than confirmed details. And until more information is shared directly by Jill or her family, supporters are left trying to balance curiosity with respect for personal boundaries. Still, one thing is clear. Whenever someone connected to the Duggar family shares an emotional update, audiences pay attention. And in situations like this, even a short request for prayers can quickly become one of the most discussed topics across fan communities and social media platforms. As the story continued spreading online, reactions quickly became divided across social media platforms. Supporters of Jill Duggar filled comment sections with encouragement, prayers, and emotional support. Many longtime followers said they admired her openness and vulnerability, especially considering the years of public scrutiny surrounding the Duggar family. Some fans pointed out that Jill has gradually become one of the more independent voices connected to the family. Because of that, supporters often interpret her emotional updates as especially meaningful. Across Instagram, Facebook groups, and discussion forums, viewers shared messages expressing concern, while hoping everything would turn out okay for Jill, her husband, and their children. But not everyone reacted the same way. Other viewers argued that the internet may have been overanalyzing a relatively brief and vague statement. Critics questioned whether people were projecting their own assumptions onto the situation without enough confirmed information. Some commenters suggested that social media culture has created an environment where every emotional post from a public figure immediately becomes treated like breaking news. And in many ways, that's exactly what happened here. Within hours, YouTube commentary channels began uploading reaction videos discussing every possible interpretation of Jill's message. TikTok creators started breaking down screenshots and analyzing wording choices line by line. Reddit discussions expanded with thousands of comments debating what the update could potentially mean. On Facebook, fan pages reposted clips, theories, and emotional reactions from viewers who have followed the Duggar family for years. That kind of rapid amplification has become increasingly common in modern internet culture, especially when reality television families are involved. For longtime audiences, the Duggar family represents more than just a television show. Many viewers feel emotionally connected because they watched these family members grow up on screen over the course of many years. That emotional investment often creates powerful reactions whenever something serious, emotional, or unexpected appears online. And because the Duggar family has already experienced years of public controversy, media attention, and family tension, even small updates now tend to generate enormous discussion almost instantly. Some people online defended Jill's right to privacy, arguing that supporters should avoid demanding personal explanations. Others felt public figures naturally invite speculation whenever they share emotional posts publicly. The debate itself became part of the larger story unfolding online. In many ways, the reaction says just as much about internet culture as it does about the Duggar family itself. Today's online environment moves incredibly fast. A single sentence can become a trending topic within hours. Emotional posts get screenshotted, reposted, analyzed, and debated across multiple platforms simultaneously. And once speculation begins, it often grows far beyond the original message itself. For creators covering celebrity families and reality television personalities, stories like this generate huge engagement because audiences are emotionally invested in ongoing narratives. Viewers want updates. They want explanations. And they often feel personally connected to situations involving people they've watched for years on television and social media. At the same time, situations like this also raise important questions about boundaries between public attention and private family life. Even supporters who mean well can unintentionally contribute to overwhelming public pressure by constantly speculating about deeply personal matters. And for public figures like Jill, that creates a difficult balancing act between sharing honestly and protecting personal privacy. Still, despite the criticism and speculation, one thing remained very clear throughout the online reaction. A large number of people genuinely hoped Jill and her family were doing okay. And as discussions continued growing across social media, many viewers began wondering whether this emotional update might eventually lead to even more public revelations in the future. At this point, many questions surrounding Jill Duggar and her recent request for prayers still remain unanswered. What's clear, however, is that the emotional reaction from fans has been significant, showing just how closely audiences continue following the Duggar family years after their reality television rise first began. For longtime viewers, updates involving Jill often feel deeply personal because so much of her life has unfolded publicly over the years. From childhood moments on television to more recent discussions about family boundaries, personal growth, and major life transitions. That long history has created a strong emotional connection between the family and audiences online. Whether more details eventually become public or the family chooses to keep this matter private, supporters will likely continue watching closely for future updates. Social media conversations, online speculation, and public reactions will almost certainly continue as fans wait to see whether Jill shares anything further in the weeks ahead. And as always, situations like this serve as an important reminder that public figures still experience deeply personal struggles away from cameras, headlines, and internet discussions. Even for families who spent years in the public eye, some moments remain emotional, complicated, and intensely private. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.